the night, this world will burn bright. We will set it alight in the heart of the night. In the heart of the night, this world will burn bright. We will set it alight in the heart of the night.
Hello everyone, I am Anthropomantic Fiends, and I do horror-related things on the internet, and before I get into this review, I'm just going to say this is my second time reviewing this. I just filmed an entire 30-minute review, and when I went back to look at it, there was no sound on the video, so I'm a little bit pissed off right now. Also, kind of want to rush through it, just because I was like, I'm finally done, but I'm going to do my best not to rush this and to give this the full treatment it deserves. You probably have not seen me in a while. You've probably seen me, just not doing a review. I've been uploading a few other things. So you've probably seen, videos of my drag performances or my music, but I don't think I've filmed a review of a horror movie since February, and I don't even remember when I uploaded that. I'm currently filming this towards the end of December in 2024, leading into the new year. Who knows when it gets uploaded, but just know that I do this primarily as a labor of love, as a hobby, due to the other obligations in my life. It is just not going to be something I upload to consistently anymore. But I am going to try to put out this review and a few others with a little bit more regularity, because I'm also taking a quick hiatus, probably not a quick hiatus, but I am going to be putting a pause also on reviewing the movies in the box set I was working my way through in my last few reviews. Because over the summer I went to a horror convention in Indy and I met some really, really nice horror film directors, independent, low-budget horror film directors who, one, I bought a movie from, and a couple of them were nice enough to just give me a couple of their movies for free, and they basically just told me, the money isn't as important to us as that you watch this and get the word about it out there and tell us what you think. So I really do want to make good on that for all three of the movies I got at Days of the Dead. So my next three reviews, this one included, are that. And before I get into the first of those movies, I also just want to say I have a new icon for my channel, my new profile picture, also the little watermark I'm putting in the little corner of my thumbnails. You've probably seen that by now. I absolutely love the original thumbnail, not even necessarily the original, but I absolutely love the profile photo that I had been using for a while, which is a portrait that Shannon from the Rusting Willpower channel had done of me that I am still blown away by. I love how well it captured what I look like. So I feel kind of bad retiring it, but it doesn't really reflect who I am now as much. But I commissioned a really good friend to draw a new profile pic and asked them to use the image that Shannon had done as kind of a reference point for that picture, and I think it turned out really beautifully. I'm not going to name my friend per se. If it turns out they want to be named, I'll, promote them at some point, but just because I don't know, I'm going to keep them anonymous as of now. But I'm really happy with that picture, and, going off of that, if it isn't obvious by now, I've been pretty upfront about it for a while now, but some things have changed since I started the channel. Hi, my name is Emily. I go by she, they, and I am a trans gal, and if you have a problem with that, what the fuck are you doing here? But, honestly, I am the exact same person as I was when I started this channel, albeit just with a little bit more knowledge of the world, which just kind of comes with age, and a little bit more self-knowledge, and just the knowledge that I'm actually very pretty. And going off of that, my appearance currently has absolutely nothing to do with the movie. I am dressed as a whimsical witch because I like this outfit and I got the outfit recently. This movie is far from being whimsical, and the movie in question is Then My Mind Walked Away. This came out sometime during the 2020s. I didn't see a date on it. I'm probably going to message the director on social media and figure it out, but this came out sometime in the 2020s once again. There's just not a ton of information on this movie in general on the internet. It's not on Letterboxd currently. I'm going to try to rectify that pretty soon. I'm really just going off what's in the movie itself and what's on the back of this case for, background on this movie. It was directed by, co-written by, and stars Jim Roberts, who also does a ton of other stuff in the movie. It also co-stars and was co-written by Karen Roberts, who I believe is his mom. She also did the practical effects on the movie and a bunch of other stuff. The movie also stars Jerry Brandt, James F. Roberts, J.M. De La Rosa, and either Tim Gross or Tom Gross. I'm aware of Gross Fest, which I think is a big thing for the part of the indie horror scene that Jim Roberts is part of, but I know that there are two grosses. I don't know enough about it to actually know the difference between the two. But one of the grosses, I will try to figure out which one it is and put his name down here, is in the movie too, and I thought that was cool. And to give a quick synopsis of what this movie is about, I'm just going to read off the back. Desperate for a place to hide, Logan finds himself at his estranged mother's farm. He soon realizes things aren't as placid as they seem. So the score for this movie was done by Dan Roberts and Jim Roberts. This is very much a Roberts family production. Again, I think it was filmed during the pandemic, limited resources. It was primarily Jim and his mom coming up with this stuff, which I think is so cool. But in addition to that score, it also contains a lot of country and folk music. Some of it is performed by Jim along with other musicians, but some of it is just other artists. This movie has a very rural American South setting and is very kind of steeped in family tradition, and I think the use of country music really kind of grounds it in that and creates that mood very well. And the score proper is very synthy, kind of John Carpenter-esque. There aren't really distinct melodies or leitmotifs, but the mood it sets is really good. Generally just a kind of creepy, unsettling mood, but also just a whole lot of melancholy in certain scenes, which, does that really well and just generally sells the scenes in the movie really well. Sound design wise, the sound design in this movie, I think, is one of the things that makes it work the best, especially in terms of the gory practical effects scenes, which I'll get into a little bit in a minute. Best way I can put it is the sound design in this movie is squishy and disgusting, and that works to great effect. Visually speaking, this movie is very clearly low tech, but the lower quality of the film just kind of adds to this very kind of gritty, down to earth, kind of dingy, gloomy atmosphere that the movie has. The lighting is kind of amped up, I'm assuming, by some sort of filters in the dream sequences in this movie, and I think that looked really nice as well. And just, I think the locations are used really good effect. The forests look incredible, and just the limited interior settings, all of the places in the house and the stables nearby, all really are used in a way that plays an important part in the story overall. And there are a few just really cool shots in the film regarding cinematography. Story-wise, I think this movie is good at building a lot of tension. Granted, it wasn't tension that paid off in the way I was really expecting to, so it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it could have been, but it did set this mood of dread really well. And throughout the movie, every scene, even if something really mundane is happening, there's just this underlying sense that not everybody is telling each other everything, and there's just underlyingly something very wrong happening, which I think plays very well into one of the biggest themes in the movie, which is cycles of abuse and family trauma, which plays out on kind of a very realistic surface level, but also in this more heightened way through horror tropes. And in that way, I think it kind of resembles a lot of themes of The Shining. This movie also deals with deaths that people have had in their lives, the past coming back to haunt you, past mistakes, cycles of abuse, alcoholism. It definitely isn't The Shining. and it's a much smaller scale story, a much simpler story in some ways, but it does have that confined, somewhat claustrophobic sense, and just this sense of living with your past regrets, or just things in your past that weren't even your fault, things that other people did to you that are haunting you. And those elements of being haunted lead to some hallucination scenes that are just very bizarre. Imagery wise, I thought they were cool. Not necessarily the most shocking thing I've ever seen, but definitely somewhat gross. And when they happened, they pretty consistently caught me off guard because they just kind of defy logic in a certain way. So this movie definitely had the element of surprise on its side. And I think that definitely especially goes for the reveal of what's ultimately going on at the end of the movie. I'm not going to spoil what that is because I really want to keep the details vague because I really want people to go out and see this movie because I think it's underseen. But I could kind of see the ultimate reveal of what's going on in this movie coming, at least elements of it, but ultimately what it revealed as being happening took me by surprise, and it really took the film into a subgenre of horror that I didn't realize this movie was. So I appreciate that element of surprise. If you're looking for the big reveal at the end, you might be able to put it together, but it caught me by surprise, and I appreciate that. Some of the dialogue in this movie is a little bit silly, particularly a little bit of dialogue uttered by Logan's girlfriend in the opening of the movie, but a lot of it is really good, just really good character and story building. And the mom character, without spoiling anything, her last line during the climax of the movie is one of the hardest lines I've heard in a while. I thought it was really great. And even though this movie is bleak, I was just like, oh my god, that's fucking metal. But back to the bleakness, this movie's climactic scene is so tragic, and the final button that's put on the end of the movie is really just kind of poignant and really sad. For a low budget, kind of gore and disturbingness driven horror film, I wasn't expecting it to be this emotional, but it's a movie made by a family, and it really is about family dynamics in a way that I hope Jim's family is not fucked up in the way this movie's fictional family is fucked up. I decidedly doubt it. Definitely not to this extent, but yeah, oh my god, the kind of heartstrings this is able to tug on at least to some extent because the movie is so much about family, I think is one of the strongest things this film has going for it. Like, just character and acting wise, the acting in this movie is not the most professional thing I've ever seen, but it doesn't really need to be. Jim Roberts is doing some really impressive stuff. There's a scene where he's crying, and I wonder if he can cry on demand or if he just put the tears there, but it looks pretty legit. He also plays sort of twisted, malevolent intent as well as just pathos and horror and sadness really well. And Karen Roberts also plays fear really well. There are a few scenes where she's a little bit more deadpan, but I think in those scenes you get the sense that she's hiding something, which builds the tension a lot more. And when she gets emotional, she just goes for it, and it never comes across as too over the top or like she's holding back. I'm not completely sold on the performance, but I was sold enough that it really felt like something awful was happening and she was in pain, and it worked. The characters in this movie, there's just something so, raw about their performances that they do to some extent kind of feel like real people, even if the performances aren't super polished or necessarily realistic. The one who I was just completely sold on, as this is just who this guy is the character of Uncle Charlie. The actor playing him, he feels like, he's just always been there and he is that guy. I don't know how much the actor has in common with the character, but, he just feels like this old, fairly likable guy from the American South. He just feels like a guy and this real person who you care about, and I really liked that. There are also some animals in this movie, including a horse. The horse's character's name is Legend. I've already forgotten the actual horse's name, but I believe the horse actually passed away during the production of the movie, so it's dedicated to the horse, which I think is really sweet. There are also two cats in the movie who really their only scene in the movie is just a scene where they look away for a moment and then go back to eating their food, but they did it almost in perfect unison, and I guess they were just reacting to whoever or whatever was off screen. But I own two cats. It's impressive if you can make them do literally anything, so good acting on the cats' parts. And effects-wise, there's a lot of gore in this, and it doesn't look completely real, but it looks real enough to be really just vile. And the sound design definitely helps with that, because again, the sound design is squishy and it's full of, all kinds of sound effects. So I wonder how much of it is stock sound effects. Some of it sounds like it is, and how much of that is, Foley. But yeah, this movie sounds squishy, and whatever was used in terms of sound design, it sells the gore in this movie, because I never completely suspended my disbelief, but there were a few times where I had to look away, particularly a scene towards the beginning of the movie involving a saw. That was gross. Jesus Christ. I liked it. Overall, is this movie perfect or my favorite thing ever? Absolutely not. You can definitely see where it kind of hits its limitations and could have been taken further if it had a bigger budget. But as a piece of low budget filmmaking made with limited resources by only a few people during the pandemic, I'm impressed. Again, is this my favorite movie? Is it going to be a frequent rewatch? I kind of doubt it, but I think it was really well done. I'm looking forward to watching the special features that are on this DVD. And yeah, it effectively sets a mood. It's effectively creepy and sad. There are moments that are a little bit goofier. There's one moment in particular that I liked the goofiness. It's a cameo from the Gross, whose first name I can't remember, as a horror host on TV, which I thought was really fun, and kind of a nod to a campier style of low-budget horror filmmaking. This is just honest to goodness attempt at just a serious, go-for-the-throat, gloomy, bleak, grimy horror movie. And that's not always what I'm in the mood for, but this is really good, and the fact that it's barely anywhere out there on the internet, I would say it's a crime, but I also don't really want people to pirate this. I want people to, pay the people who made it. I'm not sure exactly where you can watch this. It's, to my knowledge, not streaming anywhere. I don't know if there's a place to buy it online, but if there is, I will link to that in the description of this video. But if, you can buy it online, or if Jim Roberts or the production companies Blind Sight and the Slow Mutants are going to be, selling their stuff at a convention or anything near you, definitely would recommend giving this one a shot. Not completely my wheelhouse, not a perfect movie, but it's good. I think it's a really strong movie, and I definitely don't think nearly enough people have seen it. So yeah, would highly recommend checking this one out if you get the chance. That is my review of Then My Mind Walked Away. Thank you for watching my video, and hopefully I will see you in another one. Bye!